Hey everybody, as we gear up for Discovery, I thought I'd give my thoughts about The Orville, which is a show that just came out, which was created by Seth MacFarlane for Fox, and it's a comedy, drama, sci-fi television series. It's called The Orville. This is kind of, it's one of those weird things. It's like when those two asteroid movies came out at the same time. We now have sort of two Star Trek movies, or it's Star Trek shows that came out, or are coming out very close to each other with Discovery and The Orville, which is largely just a Star Trek knockoff. But the premise of The Orville is that MacFarlane is this captain of the Orville, which is a sort of middling starship, and he is given a captainship of this vessel, and he gets a new crew, and he's kind of he's getting over a breakup with his wife at the time. I believe his ex-wife. They divorced. That's right. He caught her in bed with an alien at the very start of the pilot episode, and then he is divorced from her. A couple years later, he gets command of his own ship, and he's out doing missions, and then all of a sudden his ex-wife is assigned to be his first officer, so we got some drama going right there. The Orville is interesting. This is all based on just watching the pilot. I know that the second episode is coming out tonight, I think, but this is just based on what I've seen from the pilot, which is called Old Wounds, which was directed by Jon Favreau and written by Seth MacFarlane. It aired back on September 10th is when it came out. 9 million people watched it, which doesn't seem too bad, I guess, at this point. So what did I think of The Orville? Well, it's blatantly a Star Trek. You could either say it's a ripoff or an homage. It feels more like an homage to me at this point. They use a lot of words like the deflector screens. There's shuttlecraft. They have basically a holodeck in the episode. And it feels very much like a Star Trek show, down to the bridge, down to the command uniforms that they wear, like the different sections have different color uniforms. The way that the ship looks, the way that the bridge is laid out with the captain's chair in the middle and the helmsman up front, and then sort of like a ring of science stations around the edges. And I think that it's obviously supposed to be a Star Trek homage. The weird thing about it is the fact that it combines MacFarlane's sense of humor with what's trying to be a real sort of tonally something like Star Trek, and it comes across very oddly. And I think that I tweeted about it, but The Orville feels kind of like an SNL extended sketch where they didn't want to add any more jokes to the original 5-minute sketch when they fleshed it out and made it a full 45-minute show. So it has these long stretches of sort of serious stuff, or at least, semi-serious. It's not a total farce or anything. And then it's punctuated by these little jokes that come out of nowhere. And the jokes are too infrequent for the show to be a comedy. And the drama of it isn't serious enough for it to be like a full drama. So it's in this weird middle ground where you're not really sure what to think of it. And it's not funny enough to be considered a great comedy, and it's not serious enough for the show to be considered hard or like more of a sci-fi show. And so it ends up feeling very much like a parody, at least in the first episode, down to the way that the ship is sent out. It does this traditional Star Trek maiden voyage type thing where the ship leaves dock and everyone's very, very impressed and looking at the view screen, and it goes in a warp for the first time. I don't know if they call it warp in this. I don't think they do. But it goes very, very fast either way. And then it comes down to a plot of delivering supplies to this planet that is getting attacked by enemies called the Krill, I think they're called. It's a take off the Klingons right down to the first letter of the alien race being a K. And that feels very... The Krill felt very Galaxy Questy to me. It's all out of that. It's that kind of interaction where the Tim Allen and the aliens in Galaxy Quest, that kind of like level of interaction where the aliens are super serious, but the humans are sort of playing jokes on them as they don't understand the way that humans are talking to them in the Galaxy Quest, and that's kind of the way it is here. The Krill are portrayed as sort of, warrior races that are violent and everything like that, and then Seth MacFarlane has to work his way around them. As a drama, it feels flat and sort of empty. It feels very much like it's a piloty setup type thing, so it's hard to tell whether or not these will be the plots going forward, but the plot felt dull, empty, and really too much of a cliche sort of parody to be anything interesting. The episode itself is really not particularly interesting at all. It's a pilot, so it's setting everything up. It's setting all these relationships and introducing you to the characters and everything like that. But it doesn't stand on its own, I don't think. There's no reason to rewatch this one if you were to rewatch it. I don't know. The actors are ranging from like bearable to okay. I don't think there's any real standouts. The helmsmen in particular feel very odd to me. They feel like you're very aware that they're delivering jokes, and it sort of stands out as this odd tone mix where these jokes are being delivered like this, even though you think what you're watching should feel more like a real show, like a real dramatic show. Now, if not dramatic, it should feel more like it's a sort of plot-driven universe of its own, and I don't get that impression. I feel like it's a bunch of sort of actors dropped into this set and this universe, and they're delivering lines accordingly. There's a Data ripoff. There's an alien who's a robot, I believe, or at least he seems robotic. And one of the better jokes there is that they refer to his race as being extremely racist because he sees all the other species as inferior, as he would because he's sort of superior to them intellectually. And that was a nice sort of nod to something that's always funny about Star Trek. I guess the best joke, the thing that made me laugh the most was the "Sorry, I'm still learning names" scene where they're escaping. That was a good joke. I think that's Babu from Seinfeld as well, so it was good to see him still out there, still getting work even after his runaway Babu success. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I'll probably keep watching it. It's not exciting to me. There's nothing here particularly. It's not a good enough comedy. It's not a good enough sci-fi show where I'd really want to consider watching it. I'll see what the next episode is just to sort of get a sense of where they would take this outside of once they get the setup out of the way. But yeah, I think it looks expensive. It looks great. It looks a little bit flat sometimes in some of the CG, but on the most part, it's expensive. Fox obviously gave Seth MacFarlane a lot of money. Seth MacFarlane has made them a lot of money, so it's just desserts, I suppose. But yeah, it feels very much like MacFarlane wanted to make a Trek show, but he was also beholden to make it a comedy at the same time, is how it feels to me. And I don't know how successful it'll be going forward. The people who are raging against Discovery for all this sort of, Twittery political reasons and everything like that, they might be stuck with the Orville, and I don't know if they'll be making the right choice, having known nothing about Discovery. I don't know if I'd want to get stuck with the Orville, even having not seen anything about Discovery, but we'll see how it goes. That's about it. What'd you guys think? Did anyone watch it? Anyone enjoy this? I know some people, I got feedback from some people that they watched it. They thought they were a little bit more positive than I was, I think, except for one person. I think Jay was saying that he didn't really particularly like it. We'll see going forward. It's something I could easily see just going for a season and then calling it a day. Anyway, guys, thanks very much. See you next time.